the execution part. So the offer is then the I help statement, or so I was confused with that.
Yeah,
What it is. Okay, cool.
Okay, good. Noted. We can definitely talk about that. I'm not going to pull up the slides because they don't really add a lot of value, but just go through the motion here. Any wins that you'd want to reference, business wise or content wise?
Um, no, I made one. I made a video, a talkie video, and a post a video, and I didn't get really interaction. I didn't get any likes or anything from the video, but I mean, I don't have expectations on that anything would happen. Probably. Let me just go to my profile and see.
Do you mean Facebook or LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, yes, I made a couple of what's this two. I think it was four posts this week. 4 posts on LinkedIn this week.
And when you make a post on LinkedIn, should it be different from the post on Facebook? I guess you can be more straightforward with it because it's a different platform and a different approach. You don't need to build a relationship.
I use the same posts on. Currently, I'm not posting on Facebook. So I do post on Facebook, but I make it private. So everything I post on LinkedIn, I also post it in my. So I only need to go on Facebook and make it public posts, because I've thought once if I concentrate on Facebook, that I would then I would already have a line of content. I don't have to go and produce things and do new things once again from the beginning. So
Well, that's cool. So, in the category of the win, were you going somewhere with that? Just getting it up there, kind of thing.
I think in the category of win is that I got something up there that I made posts, and I was did a bit of writing. Yes, I would say that.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So I've got another note. I think I'll come. You know, I definitely want to come back to this. I just pulled up your LinkedIn post there. Anybody else? Any wins? Anna? Anything you'd want to mention?
Yeah, well, yeah, me, I had one sale definitely paid. I mean, the first installment, so I received it. Yay! It was the first one since November last year. I was away from the profile as well, so it's logical, but it means a lot, you know. It helps you build this.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, that's
And yeah, the feeling that you're getting back in the game. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
great.
Now I need to work on my offer as well because I have a couple of things on the offer, but I don't have it figured out. I don't have it like A, B, C, D. What am I supposed to tell to people if I jump on the call? So that's why I'm delaying the call because I'm not sure how to actually handle that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So sounds like we got some sticky points on the offer, which we definitely can spend some time on. I think that'd be great. Uh, the one thing, definitely celebrate the wins. You know, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned it. In the end, the scorecard is making sales. So that's you know, that's where you want to end up. Love that. I think if you guys don't mind, I think I would like to just go into the offer stuff a little bit first, and maybe go a little bit off the normal routine. One question: can you each, in like 1 to 3 sentences, just tell me what your offer is right now, like what your main thing is you're driving people towards? Anybody can start. Darren, if you're up for it.
I'll start. I've got my offer, if you don't mind, Darren. So it's because I see you're still chewing there something, uh, enjoying something. I've got my offer is just on. I've got it on LinkedIn. I help property marketers increase their closing rate with 50% and build an online audience without spending on ads. How? Message me to book an appointment. That's.
Say that first part. Oh, here it is. I got it. Property marketers. That's what I missed. Okay.
Can you copy paste it and drop it in the chat so we actually see it in front of us?
Okay.
Say again.
I'll drop it here in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Okay, got it.
Cool. All right, Anna, since your mic's open, do you want to go next? What is yours?
Mine, I can pretty much do the same if I open the Facebook, but it's about, I will type it in, helping 0 to 3K marketers
I got it.
get consistent sales, content that pre-sells, and never lose the failing messenger again. Basically, I was creating it around Blake's post to close. Yeah, well, it's called the end and stuff like that.
Yeah. I just took that off your headline thing or whatever. Okay, good. And then Darren.
So in a nutshell, on the affiliate side, I help veterans smoothly separate from active duty into an online business. And that's kind of that's my intent, I guess.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's good. Okay, now go back around and grab the text actually. I can't do 2 things at once. So. Okay, so now the question is less markety and more practically. What does that mean? So Grove, you are you offering a coaching program?
Yes, I'm offering a coaching program, and I think if this is if this is I think this is like the showcase. If I send a connection message to you or to somebody, or they see a short description, and this shows them exactly what I do and what I'm all about, what I'm all about. And speak. And I was just wondering if my offer, my description was too general, generic, too generic and too general, too broad, not well defined, targeted.
Okay. Yep. I'll say more about that in a minute, but But basically, it's a coaching program that's
It's a coaching program, yes. I'm trying to get people into a coaching program, yes.
yeah. And is it like well defined? Is it a 4 week coaching program? Is it a one hour in a month? Do you have it?
Uh, I honestly I don't know. I that's why I don't have it.
I think
Initially, when I in the
Brovet not an affiliate. He's not affiliating for a specific program. He's talking about the idea he has of to do the coaching himself. Correct?
yes, I'm
Because
doing
I
the
think
coaching.
Todd was the opinion that you were affiliating. That's why he asked you
Oh,
if there is.
okay. It's coaching that I'm doing myself from things that are from my own experience, from what I've done myself, and now I'm my idea is to offer it in a program. And I went a couple of months ago, or a month or two ago, and I wrote down, made a list of steps that I would like to take with a person. Initially, it was a 6 weeks huge all-encompassing thing, and the more when I got with 6FA, I just got the idea that my execution part is too big. It would be it's
Yeah, I get you.
so
Totally.
yeah. I would just I just stopped talking.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I want you guys are actually this is good. You're taking me where I wanted to go. So, um, and then Anna, how about you? Is it also a coaching program?
No, for me, I am an affiliate. So basically, there is always an affiliate offer behind what I'm doing. I have Mia Drug Meta, yeah. I have Blake CCC, 6FA, I have Marcos, JMP, I have loads of stuff for different level marketers. And I am keen on offering my own coaching, but more as a bonus, as a support kind of thing, as a third leg to everything else. It's not my idea yet to offer coaching as a main thing because I don't see myself capable of doing it yet.
Okay.
I don't know how I would charge it. I have all these kind of issues around it. But I wouldn't mind practicing with somebody who actually jumps in on a program.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, that's clear. And how about you, Darren?
So I came one thing, Anna, your mic doesn't seem to really be working. I don't know if there's a
Oh,
if
shit.
it's
Okay, let me check. Yeah, I see that you're all frowning at me. I'm like, why don't they like me?
I had to lean in. I had to lean into here. I could hear you, but actually, even you just moving forward, it might just be closer to the mic.
I think that the mic on her computer is being used vice the
Maybe.
boom mic.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
You 1 second to check.
All good. But while you're doing that, so I came to 6FA out of Entra, right? And so Entra was the offer, and I actually had pretty that was my one and only offer initially. I've kind of I've shifted from that to the primary offer, much like Anna is somebody else's program, as in Blake's program, the whole gamut, the with my assistance and kind of lead in, because I'm basically targeting new people, right? Primarily, and 6FA I feel is for somebody that's already in the game, right? It's a mid-tier to
Yes.
advanced. Honestly, I haven't even looked over the post to close, which I think is mid-tier also. I would assume. So, I would perform.
Post to close is a different program. I started from post to close, but then I jumped into the phase.
So is
So in
since
post to
I'm
close,
since I'm not
you
really
are Does
since I'm not
anybody know how I can access settings from here because I cannot find it? Sorry about
now, it should be like your little Windows, the little window symbol, the four panes. You should be able to click there. Should be bottom left hand corner ish.
I might need to jump off and jump back on. Okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
so
well, if you could also try. Let me see. This won't work because well, actually, will this work? Let me turn on. Let me just try one thing to see if this works for you. Um, if I share this screen, does it put us on an infinite loop? Can you see that? Oh, can you see this?
Yep. Yeah, we can see it.
So you should be able to go in here, maybe. And then you should be able to select your
I'm
settings.
trying. Yes, this is what I'm trying to do, but it doesn't let me open the Zoom itself, and on the screen here, it doesn't show the settings, which is why
Gotcha.
I think we switching off, and then okay, I'll be back.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm I'm doing two things at once, and this is, I know you're not really supposed to do that. I'm the affiliate. I'm kind of going down two paths, and then whichever path pulls me the hardest is the way I'm gonna go, right? So I started affiliate. I had the opportunity to basically do some agency work, so I jumped over to that and started working agency stuff. That contract, so they're going to contract with me once they win a contract, which I know the guy that's letting the contract to them, and he let the contract, and so they're a matter of a month or two out from actually getting their funding, uh, which means then they intend to bring me on. So in the in between, I'm like, well, okay, either I need to look for more agency customers, right? Which I've been kind of half-heartedly beating the bushes about while I've been going through the 6FA program. I'm like, oh, okay, here I'm gonna do some affiliate work while I'm looking for more agency customers. And just this last week, while I was up in Indiana, I live in Kentucky, and I work in Indiana. So I was up in Indiana at work, and while I was there, I reached out to somebody that used to work with me, and she quit the government job. Well, she quit working on the base to go work for the city, and then got actually promoted to the county director of economic development. And so along those lines, I know I'm giving you the long story here, but along those lines, a year ago when I started this digital marketing thing, she and I talked, and she was, in that she was in that city position in economic development, and she's like, "Hey, would you be interested in like giving classes or training on how to use, how to enhance your digital footprint, that kind of stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, but give me a year." So fast forward, this is a year, and I'm ready, right, to start like putting out mini classes, that sort of thing. So I'm actually taking her on. She and I have talked. I'm taking her on as basically a coaching program. Um, I'm going to coach her into organizing her calendar, getting things set up, and actually, prioritizing her tasks and that sort of thing, to with the intent of helping her develop the strategic plan for her county, for her county's expansion, or whatnot. So she's collected multiple strategic plans from surrounding counties that they paid $20,000 a pop for, from these couple of different companies. I'm gonna build a mini team. We're gonna put together strategic plan, or I'm going to make an offer to her of, significantly less than 20 grand to put this plan together with the agreement that if I can grow in the next 12 months, if I can show growth in her county, then she'll have more ammunition to go for a higher budget, which in turn I'll be able to charge a fair rate, kind of thing, right? And so that's what I'm working on right now. That's my main concentration.
Hey, Anna, how's your mic now?
I think it's much better.
Oh yeah, way better.
Yeah. I forgot I was watching some hybrid difference between hybrid and electronic car on YouTube. So I put the speakers on. I disconnected this thing and I totally forgot to put it back. Sorry.
No worries.
That's okay. I did a whole live that way.
It's better.
I'm talking away. I had them in my ears, but it wasn't plugged into the computer.
Yes, exactly. Yes. It's
What a
like,
mess.
where are my glasses? Oh, they're on my head. Woo.
Yeah, I do that plenty. Okay, so that was a lot of diverse stuff, I would say. You all are doing pretty different things to some degree, and I think try to stay structured through this, but like the first thing that comes to my mind, I've been in your shoes certainly, and in many ways I go through it regularly where it's like, okay, who am I now? What am I doing? What's the objective? What's the approach? Like, I think that's the nature of entrepreneurship anyway. Once you cross a certain level, you'll do it again, right? Because it's like, once I make whatever one sale a month, then it's five. And and sometimes you're like, okay, actually I don't want to do this thing anymore, so I need to pivot and change directions. And I think that's the name of the game. So it's something to keep in mind, that it never gets fully solved. I think that's important to remember. I will say there might be a better way to say this, but I'll just say it the way it comes out. I think this isn't just you four. This is advice I would probably give to anyone who's kind of in your position, which is it would be time well spent to think hard about one specific sort of destination or objective, and kind of work your way backwards from that. And I might think about tying it to how you spend your time in 6FA. I mean, part of it, this could be hard. Like Darren, I'd say you've got the most array of things going on here, from Entra affiliate to agency work to coaching the government. Like those things are all pretty different. I mean, obviously the skills layer across them, and that's fine. I don't know if I put a but in there, but I'm going to say but. You probably want to kind of pick one target and think like so. To me, it makes perfect sense that my daughter's half day today, so she just got home. But it makes some sense to me that writing would be hard if you've got all of these things going on. Like, it might dilute your focus a little bit. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, if you have three things that you're working on, writing content could potentially take a back seat unless you've got like a laser sharp focus. So in general, I would say, from a content perspective especially, which ties to like offer stuff, you want to get just really clear on two things. What is your promise? And Grove, I actually think your text is good. Like, is it award winning? I don't know. Again, I'm not like these short things. I feel like I'm not the expert at. It's clear to me what you're trying to accomplish. I look at that and I can kind of know if it's for me or not. And I think it's like honestly, my only negative on it is if I'm a reader, I wonder. Like, I see increased closing rate by 50%. Is that what you mean? That you're saying you can increase?
Yes. I when I see things like that for myself, I agree with you. It is. I wonder then, compared, measured against what?
Yeah.
Measured
Right.
against what?
And my only thing there is like if you believe you have sort of data that supports that and experience you can deliver that supports it, I don't care. You just have to recognize that this short sentence is is not the end of your content and your marketing, right? Like I love that it's clear that it's got a number. I think that's convenient for people. I should probably put it up here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I can zoom it in here. This is the message we're talking about. One thing, I might just change this word to buy, if that's what you mean. I hope property marketers increase their closing rate by either by 50% or to 50%. I don't know what you mean. I'm not sure what with would mean there. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
Yes,
think
I
yes,
wanted
yes.
to say by 50%, but then I'm not a native English speaker, so I was like, okay, better to shut up. But to me, immediately it was like, yeah, by 50%, yes.
No, since I'm just to say, since I've used Grammarly, I've and Todd that you recommended this Hemingway app because because I'm not a native English speaker. I just saw that how I that's why I'm not writing. I don't write without Hemingway and anything without Hemingway and Grammarly again because it's just my grammar was very, I would say, I don't know, say bad.
Yeah. No worries. So actually, a side note I was going to make earlier too, is I didn't read this post, did I?
No, you didn't.
Already
No,
commented.
so what I did was there is we will get we will get to that, and I'll just explain to you what I was doing, what I was trying there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was just going to say, even if it's after the fact, feel free to submit those things to the content thread. You know, I'll be happy to give you my 2 cents, and you can sort of think, okay, I'll use this next time, or I will disregard whatever he said. But there's except for you have to take 15 to 20 minutes usually from my feedback to hear what I have to say. Other than that, there's no cost. So I just encourage you to drop these in here. I enjoy reading them. I enjoy kind of thinking through things. It also helps me like follow along on your journey so that when we're having this kind of conversation, I know a little bit more about what you're doing, why you're doing, how you're doing, sort of thing. So that's it. Just you don't have to, but you're welcome to submit those.
Thank you.
So that I can sort of weigh in. And so anyway, where I was going with it all though is instead of feeling like, oh, I've got all this overwhelming stuff to do, like even if you have 3 things, Darren, that you're kind of focused on, just get really clear about what is the promise. What am I offering somebody when I sell them my thing? What solution am I providing? What result are they going to get from my thing? And then part 2 is how do you actually deliver it? So if it's an affiliate product, it's a pretty easy answer, right? You can hand over the keys to logging into the course or joining the program or whatever it is. That's fine. But when you go into the coaching programs, I would think for you, Rove, that you would probably benefit from spending a few minutes on what is the deliverable and tightening that up, even if it's wrong. Like if you're like, oh, I don't know for sure like if this is the right way to go, I would actually still kind of encourage you to pick something. And
I have a deliverable, something that I would do in mind, but I haven't. And since I got on 6FA, I now I've learned that or got the idea that it was too much. So I have had to narrow it down quite a lot.
And I'm going to interrupt you there and say exactly. And that's my point. Pick something, and then you can be like, oh, that's too much. That's too little. It's not quite right. That's how it works. And the more specific you get, I think with both, actually, the promise is actually more important than the delivery. But your promise is usually like a sentence or two, and it's not comprehensive enough. So then you go into the delivery to say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to prospect for leads. I'm going to teach you how to build trust, and then I'm going to teach you how to close the sale, or whatever it is, right? Like whatever your program is. But if you get specific, I feel like, honestly, if I had to pick one thing that clients in 6FA miss most, well, actually, number one is telling stories. If you can put stories into your content, that's the number one winner for me. The only reason it might be number two, though, is because of what I was going to say is number one, which is people don't really know where they're going. They don't know what they're writing for. They don't know what transformation they're trying to take people on. And it makes your stories actually easier to connect the dots if you know, this is my promise, this is where I want to take people, this is the transformation I'm offering. Then the stories are easier to write. It's easier to take that story and connect it to a marketing message that can eventually lead to a sale. And so, Grove, I think you're doing the right thing, generally speaking, with this thing. And I haven't read the post, and I see you got the video there. I'm assuming they're related, which is, should be the case.
They are related. Sorry to interrupt you. They are related, but my words in the post is completely different to what I'm. It is related to. It's related, but it's so when you go and read the post and you listen to it, it's not really connected.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so I mean, in the end, I'd love to give you some like super dramatic framework or something, for this, but my belief is that if you know exactly what your solution is, what the transformation is, what the promise is, whatever you want to call it, you'll have a much better chance of reducing what you just described. Your content then much more easily can funnel to that one point that you're trying to take people to. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense. And I had the idea that that I had to produce a lot of content and every week something different. And now since about a week ago, so I just got the idea. I think with Alan was one of the calls that he said I think Alan or that he just recycles his content, because very few people are going far back, and
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I think it was James.
yeah,
Yes,
James,
it doesn't
yes,
really
James,
matter.
yes,
It was
yes,
James, definitely.
yes, James, yes. So I thought
yeah.
that is because I have a relatively I think I've got the idea of what I would like people once I get them in, and I go and I have the execution part. I think I've got that. I think I've got that in my mind of what I'm going to do. It's just but the stories thing is what you're saying. That is challenging, I would say.
Yeah, well, and so the first hurdle is getting people to accept that stories are like the right thing to do. That's my first hurdle. The second one then is just kind of helping people figure out how to do it. And if you have any doubt, you should talk to James Allardyce in the program. He started off in this program, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe 4 months, something like that. And he didn't, he was new. He didn't really know much about it. He wasn't good at stories, didn't have a framework. And he I think I probably mentioned his name last time we all talked, now that I think about it. He's put stuff in the content thread once or twice every week consistently, I think almost the whole time. And I'm at a point where I actually really look forward to reading his posts, because he's doing the right stuff. He's got stories, and they're not they're not epic philosophy or, awesome marketing necessarily. Even they're just good personal stories about his life, and it's like cool watching him grow in that way, but it's also cool getting to know him. It's cool watching his journey. And it's funny because like it almost seems like I should be immune to that from where I sit in this role, and I'm totally not. And so to me, it just really emphasizes the point that that's what you want for your audience. So to me, this is an interesting point because I've been down the path of where like, oh, I have to post 4 to 5 times a week minimum, or I'm failing. To the point where now I don't know what my last post was, 5 weeks maybe. But again, I'm doing something different now, so I'm not the best example of that exact thing. But I will still say, like, frequency matters. You've got to find a way to do that and keep it fresh. But I would always personally take quality over quantity. That's always been my thing since I started doing this. So, I don't know. You got to find your own balance there, and it is totally fair. Like, don't stress over any one post sucking, being inconsistent, incoherent, whatever. You just don't want to show up that way for your audience regularly, right? So you just every time you try to get a little bit better, telling better stories, making sure that you're clearly driving to a point that people want to go to. And again, I'd love your actually feedback on this to see if this, like, I just want to know if it makes sense. Because to me, if you're like, I'm just going to use your example because you do have a good, statement here. I help property marketers increase their closing rate by 50%, build an online audience without spending on ads. So that's interesting. It gives me a couple of thoughts, but I'll go back to where I was going, which is like, if that was my offer, you've prioritized the closing rate between these two because you put it first, and then you put building an online audience. I guess my question was, they probably kind of have to go hand in hand, so you could think about excluding it. But I get where you're going, and I think for where you're at, it's probably the right choice. But
Actually, sorry, along those lines, maybe reversing the order, build an online audience and increase your closing rate by 50%, because really that's what it would take, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. And so I could still be of two minds. You could convince me either way. I personally probably would flip them, but if you're like, let's just say your thing is like, I know how to close, like, this is what I'm good at, and that's what I'm good at teaching people. You could leave it this way. You could even think about getting rid of the build an online audience. If you're like, I'm the closer guy, you might just double down on that and say, this is my thing. Most people who have any clue about this stuff would know that those things, like, you have to have a little bit of both. But again, you've kind of got the organic emphasis here, and I think people appreciate that. So I wouldn't go. What I would suggest is kind of testing it. But where I was going with this is, I'm just going to focus on the closing thing. Like, I'm just going to say your coaching program, focuses on how to close people. That's the thing that you do. That's the thing you emphasize. That's where you spend your time. If so, then to me, all of your posts should speak to that. They can address the fact that I don't have an audience to close with, but eventually you still want that thread pointing back to closing. You can say, oh, I don't know what to say on calls, or I guess moving forward, you say, okay, I don't have an audience, cool, but eventually that still shifts you to closing. Now I've got an audience, I don't really know how to get them interested in what I have to offer. Cool, you can write about that, but it still steers people eventually to closing, right? Getting on a call, if that's how you do it, how to get people on call steers to closing. What to say on call steers to, you know what I mean? Like, that's your focal point. And so all of the writing for my money should always have that in the back of your mind. And I made that up, so that might not be your focus, but you need to find what it is so that all of your writings can lead people to that point. Because I know for certain, even though I can't prove it scientifically, like, if you don't know where you're taking people, then they can't go there. I guess you can prove that scientifically. I was just gonna say, you confuse people if you're not clear. That's what it comes down to. So people can't go from their point A to point B transformation if you haven't defined the B that you're delivering for them. It's just, it seems self-evident to me, but
Probably to add to that, Todd, or maybe a different angle of it would be people won't follow you very far if they don't
yes,
think you know where you're going, right?
exactly. There's no way to follow you if you don't know where you're going, because you're just wandering, and people just don't sign up for that usually. So yeah, I mean, in some ways I probably beat the horse dead, but what is your promise and how do you deliver it is what I would say to focus on. That might help you refine your statement, Grove, if it's not exactly, if that's not what you're selling, that's not the promise, and the delivery might.
I've just say I've already Darren, I've already changed what you, I've already changed the buy, the width to buy, and changed the words around while Todd was speaking. Yes, thank you, Todd.
Great. Yeah, cool. No, that's it. And you know,
Can
part two of what I'm saying here is bring that focused mindset to any of these calls, whether it's with Blake or Mike or me or Heather or whatever. It's easier said than done. Um, I, I had a call with Jacob Karras the other day, and he was basically saying the same thing. In fact, he was, because I was complaining I had so many damn marketing emails in my inbox, because I love good marketing. I love to read it. But I was like, I actually just stopped reading them all. I used to have a few that I would read pretty regularly that, were my favorites. And I picked up a few more and a few more. And now I just stopped reading them because I was like, I didn't want to start again. And he just pointed out that, he's pretty much stopped consuming. Like, he goes in fits and starts, but for now he's stopped so that he can produce. And I guess my point is because the shiny objects distract you is where I was going with that. So like, everybody, I think, deals with this to some degree, and I just have found the more focused I am on the destination, the easier it is to get somebody to help me, help them get there, or vice versa, whatever it is. So
can I offer some or some comment?
Yeah.
Something something Grove and Anna, I want to let you know that I'm diving into this, this quote unquote coaching this lady and trying to build economic progress in a county out of my swim lane, right? This is not something, honestly, I've got. The coaching part, yes. So I do have some experience, right? I mean, I'm a 23-year retired Navy veteran, right? And I've almost always been in a leadership position throughout that whole, and I've learned a lot, right? I've learned how to interact with people. I've learned how to do certain things and how to guide people. So that I'm comfortable in, and that's what I'm honing in on with her, right? I'm going to work with her on getting her, she's a young lady, and getting her organized and getting her time scheduled. And those are things that any of us really could help somebody else do, right? So as a recommendation, that may be. And honestly, this book I read the 12-week year. I don't know if you guys can,
Yeah, now I can see.
camera will focus on it, but it's a great book. It's full of some common sense things, and it tells you how to break things down, chunk it down. And so that's the basis I'm going to use to guide her into controlling her thing. Now, the other part, um, and I'm telling you this because I'm uncomfortable with it, right? But if you're not uncomfortable with what you're doing, then to a little bit, then you aren't growing, right? So I intend to grow. And the worst case scenario is I completely fail at growing the county and it stays the same. Um, the best part is if I can help her be a success, then it turns me into a success, right? I mean, it's the domino effect. So, and I'm going to employ all the resources that I have. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if you have something that you're really comfortable on, then use that, right? Use that as your primary starting point, as your primary offer, so to speak, your mini offer, right? Your micro offer. Use that and build on that and get outside your comfort level just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit more. I kind of blew the doors off with this county thing, but I have confidence that the team that I can pull together will really be able to help me move this along. So um, there. Sorry, Todd. I didn't mean. I'm not. I'm not in a position. I'm not a coach on the program or anything like that. But this all kind of came to me as you were talking, Todd, and I'm like, you know what? I'm using my known talents to build on, and then I am going out of my comfort zone beyond that, but I'm going to build micro steps, so to speak, or micro wins.
Yeah. Well, I think I think that's helpful, and I would say the there was something that you just said that struck me. Comfort zone. Yeah, I was just going to say again in my example using Grove's thing where it's got closing rate, building an audience without ads. Like, let's just say again, your strength is closing, and you don't already have this crystal clear offer out there. Focus, like Darren said, on the part that you are super confident in. Make it a, I don't know, 2 calls in a month, one call every 2 weeks for $500 or whatever, and deliver on that piece until you get what you need out of it, and then keep growing from there. And I'm making it up, but like, start small, tack on things. I think it's a great way to go. And honestly, I've seen this time and again, and I've seen it go both ways. The smaller your promise is, the easier it is to sell, assuming the transformation is meaningful in some way. If it's like, um, how to walk 11 steps instead of 10 in a day, like that wouldn't be a winner from a transformation perspective. Um, but the point is, like, if you can make a promise simple, quantifiable, and time bound, basically, and it's not a lot of time, you're gonna have a much easier time of selling it. You can confidently say what it is. People can understand what it is, and and it's a fine art, because making that true while the transformation is meaningful. Those two things are often at odds, and a lot of people out there say a lot of you know sensational things that aren't necessarily true. To your point, to the earlier point of the 50% closing rate, like, you have to be able to back that up somehow. And again, I would say make your content speak to that when the opportunity arises. Like, every post doesn't have to do that, but I'd love a story on why 50%. Like, make that one of your posts one of these days. How do you know that? You know, what's gonna what do you do that would get me there? I think that's the kind of thing that would be useful in content.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just making notes as you were typing my notes here as you were speaking.
Cool. The other thing I was going to say, just about the offers in general, see if I missed anything else here, is figuring out what skills you need your customer to either have when they enter or develop when they leave, or both, is something that might help you with the promise and the delivery. I it seems kind of obvious, but like, I just came to me in a new light over the last couple of weeks, where you can find yourself in a coaching situation where people don't have the requisite skills, and you've sold them something, and now you either have to teach them or they're going to fail, right? Like, you want to avoid that. Um, and 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 from the content perspective, if you know what those skills are, like, let's just say, Grove, you've got this, what is it, property marketers. So is this like real estate agents, basically, like
Yes,
sellers?
yeah. Actually, I was using estate agent realtors. That's yep.
Yep.
I should have. There's a specific reason why I use marketers, because I thought because in this realtor is a marketer in
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure I was thinking of it correctly. And all I was gonna say is that may be too obvious because most people would know, but like, I don't. And actually, this, I mean, maybe there is something to this. Like I think here in the U.S., realtors are a licensed term. Like, to be a legit realtor, you actually have to be licensed and all that. My guess is in the US, you could call yourself a property marketer without having the license, and you could do like offline stuff. And, there are ways to do it here in the US. So that might be something to think about. But where I was going with it, though, is like, your content could and should use the lingo of a realtor then, if that's what you want. Like, these are skills, like, as a realtor, you are, and of course I know very little about it, so I can't speak to it too well, but it's like, as a realtor, you already know that you have to have whatever your access to the MLS system. Like, they've got a database here that's, pretty standard. And I'm making it up, but again, whatever, if you're stuck on the promise, and more likely the delivery or execution of it, just kind of think about the skills that you want your ideal customer to have. If you're working with beginners and they can have no skills, that's a different kind of writing than it is if they need to be a baseline level of, intermediate or even expert. The things change there. So those are, I'm calling those three things that have helped me with offers. It's, what is my promise? How do I deliver it? What skills does my ideal customer need to have to succeed? And honestly, I'll tell you this can be my last story. I'm gonna have to jump here in a minute, but actually created a coaching offer around, like, I don't know, March or April of last year. And it was pretty vague. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had a couple people buy it, and I kind of worked my way through it and refined it. And what I started realizing was that what people really bought in this case was my writing. That's actually why they came. They wanted to know how I was doing what I was doing. So I went from there and I created a masterclass called Content That Converts. And I thought I might sell 5, and I can't remember. I ended up selling like 70 of them or something over a few months. It was crazy. And I didn't do it all myself. I ended up adding affiliates in. So it was cool. Like, it was super cool. I learned a ton. But what I realized in the content class was that content was hard for people because they didn't know what their offer was. So they were just writing stuff. That's literally what they were doing. They were writing stuff. There was no clear destination. And so, I mean, I'm just bringing this full circle. If you don't know where you're going, you can't write about it. You can't write people a journey that's
I think
going to be a winner for them.
that's true. I think that's where I'm my content is all over, because I'm not crystal clear about my offer.
Yeah. So the next class I did was called Offers That Convert, and I charged way more for that. Sold quite a bit fewer, and it was harder work. I think it's, writing seems easier to people than thinking hard about what is my offer and really getting down to the bottom of a transformation you can deliver to somebody. It is actually harder. Well, some people might be gifted at it, and maybe it's easier to do that than writing. But for me, it's much easier to write creatively than it is to really nail an offer that is going to have that combination of a good transformation that is simple and clear to understand, that I can actually deliver. Like those things are hard. And that's why you get paid the big bucks when you're good at them. All right. I hate to cut these short. This is an awesome conversation. I love the offer angle. I hope you guys got good stuff out of it. Anything before we drop?
Very valuable. Thank you. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. It was awesome today.
Thank you, Darren. Anas, see you soon.
See you.
I would
Ciao,
I
ciao.
would like to offer one challenge to the three of us.
Yeah.
How about Wednesday, next Wednesday at the accountability with Heather, we have our narrowed down offer.
Love it.
Are you guys cool with that?
Cool.
We define our offer.
Okay, yeah,
whether-
that's a good idea. Yes, yes.
All right. So I'll see you Wednesday. I'll have my stuff in one sock and looking for that for you guys too.
That's great.
Take care.
I love it. Thanks for all that. Have a
Okay.
great weekend.
Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
You too.